There is a deep, invisible and silent reason why most people will spend their entire lives chasing money and still die poor. It doesn't matter how much you study, how hard you work, or even how much you pray for prosperity. If this one error is lodged in your mind, every effort will be in vain. And the most dangerous part, it hides behind logical justifications, well-meaning advice, and even the people you love the most. This error is so deeply rooted in our culture, habits, and popular beliefs that almost no one recognizes it as the true thief of wealth. And that's what makes it so deadly. It acts like a mental virus, slowly destroying your confidence, sabotaging your plans, and undermining any possibility of building a millionaire mind. Imagine a man who is intelligent, creative, hard-working, yet ends his days counting coins to buy medicine. Now imagine he had dozens of opportunities throughout his life, but let every single one slip through his fingers for one reason: doubt. Doubt made him hesitate. Hesitation made him waste time. And time, as you know, never comes back. What if I told you that Napoleon Hill, the man who personally interviewed the 500 most powerful millionaires in America, discovered this very same pattern? And what if I revealed that he not only identified this error, but also created a method to eliminate it from the mind and replace it with a mental force so powerful it can literally reprogram your financial destiny? Hill once wrote, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Oh, but few realize that adversity can also be internal. A wrong thought, a poisoned belief, an invisible habit born in childhood and solidified over time. This is the seed of mental poverty. And if you don't uproot it now, you'll spend your life digging a well that never fills. That's what we're going to talk about today, the fatal error that destroys your millionaire mind, and how Napoleon Hill explained exactly how to neutralize it. Get ready. Your mind may never be the same again. Few names carry as much weight in the world of personal development and wealth as Napoleon Hill. Long before the word coach even existed, he had already mapped the mental path to fortune. But he didn't do it based on guesswork or empty theory. Hill was personally commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate and one of the richest men in history, to conduct the greatest investigation into success ever undertaken. His mission: interview the most successful men in America and uncover what they all had in common. That investigation lasted over 20 years, and its results forever changed the way the world understands wealth, purpose, personal power, and the millionaire mindset. Among those interviewed were names like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, Alexander Graham Bell, and John D. Rockefeller. These weren't just wealthy men. They were titans in their fields. Hill discovered that all of them, without exception, shared very specific mental traits: an obsession with purpose, an unshakable faith in their projects, a deep aversion to doubt, and an almost fanatical discipline in turning thoughts into action. He codified all of it in his most famous book, Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, Hill revealed one of the greatest secrets. Poverty is a state of mind, and failure begins in the mind long before it shows up in your bank account. For Hill, true success begins within. He wrote, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire produces little heat." That phrase may seem simple, but it holds a brutal truth. Most people think they want to get rich, but in reality, they only vaguely dream of a better life. And unless desire turns into fire, into urgency, into absolute purpose, it is useless. That's where the error begins: wanting without deciding, wishing without acting, planning without believing. This is the fertile ground where the fatal error takes root and grows. Behind the scenes of fortune, Hill saw a hidden pattern. It wasn't luck, intelligence, or even effort that determined who got rich. It was a mindset shaped by strong convictions, firm decisions, and dominant thoughts. Those who strayed from this, even if brilliant, sank into doubt, excuses, and mediocrity. This was Hill's first great warning. You become what you think about most of the time. And if you feed thoughts of doubt, fear, or inadequacy, guess what you're planting? It starts small, so subtle that you don't even notice. A thought, a hesitation, a rational-sounding excuse that seems too reasonable to be dangerous. It's not the right time yet. Maybe I'm not ready. What if I fail? The fatal error doesn't arrive like a monster screaming at your door. It whispers, it persuades, it disguises itself as caution, as common sense, as other people's opinions. But in the eyes of Napoleon Hill, it is the greatest dream thief ever known. Persistent doubt. This is the mental cancer that destroys any chance of wealth before it even has a chance to be born. And the cruelest part, it doesn't come from the outside. It grows inside you. Hill was emphatic when he wrote, "Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of them ready to be handed out for free." Most people fail because they collect opinions from parents, friends, bosses, neighbors, fear, and forget to cultivate decisions. Doubt sets in precisely when there is no clear decision. And it's in that empty space that the mind starts listening to ghosts. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of looking ridiculous. Doubt paralyzes. It is the antithesis of action. And without action, there are no results. It doesn't matter how much you know, study, or desire. Doubt is the most effective weapon against your millionaire mind because it comes from within and speaks with your own voice. The millionaire mind, according to Hill, is built on 3 pillars: faith, decision, and definite purpose. And the fatal error destroys all 3. First, it erodes your faith. It makes you believe you're not capable, that maybe you don't deserve it, that others are better. Then it paralyzes your ability to decide. You delay, postpone, procrastinate, and when decision is absent, purpose weakens. It becomes just a vague wish, a fleeting desire in the air. Hill warned, people who cannot control their thoughts will never be able to control anything else. This is not just philosophy, it's behavioral neuroscience, it's applied psychology, it's mental physics, and doubt is the greatest saboteur of that entire system. But what makes this error so fatal is its ability to disguise itself as caution. How many times have you postponed something by telling yourself you were being prudent? How many times did you hesitate because you wanted to be sure? And how often did that wait turn into months, years, a whole life? Doubt, when accepted as a mental habit, becomes a pattern. And that pattern spreads through every area of your life, in your finances, in your relationships, in your business, in your biggest decisions. You begin to doubt your worth, your talent, your ideas, your abilities, and just like that, you become your own executioner. Without even realizing it, you start to destroy what you once dreamed of building. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It doesn't knock on your door asking for permission. The fatal error, that corrosive doubt that kills your millionaire mind, sneaks silently into every corner of your routine, disguised as common sense, as the voice of reason, as a comfortable habit. Napoleon Hill realized that the most defeated among well-meaning men weren't those without ability, but those who were overtaken by invisible mental patterns. There are 6 main ways this poison spreads, and understanding each one is like turning on a light in a room you didn't even know was dark. The first is fear of criticism. From childhood, we're taught to obey, to please, to avoid mistakes. We grow up believing that being judged is a sign of failure, not of courage. So, we avoid standing out. We avoid making decisions that might upset others. Hill wrote, "Fear of criticism robs a person of initiative, destroys the power of imagination, limits individuality, and takes away self-confidence. This prison is invisible, but very real. As long as you care more about what others think of you than what you think of yourself, your mind will never be free to create wealth. The second form is lack of decision. Rich people decide quickly and change their minds slowly. Poor people decide slowly and change their minds constantly. Hill observed that the most successful men in history had an almost instinctive ability to make decisions with clarity and firmness. Meanwhile, those who failed hesitated all the time, seeking approval, overthinking. Doubt lives in delay. Every minute you postpone an important decision, it grows inside you like a weed. Time becomes an excuse. And when opportunity knocks, it doesn't wait. The third form is absence of a definite purpose. This may be the most destructive of all. Those who don't know what they want end up serving those who do. And there is no millionaire mind without clear direction. Hill was blunt. You cannot have faith if you do not have a definite purpose. The fatal error feeds on lack of clarity. It fills the void with distraction, comparison, and existential doubt. And then you start walking other people's paths, forgetting your own. The world is full of people too busy chasing goals that were never theirs. That's poverty disguised as progress. The fourth is contamination by negative associations. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with, and according to Hill, thoughts are contagious. Being surrounded by people who constantly complain, doubt, criticize, or mock those who dream big is like drinking poison in small doses. Slowly you start thinking like them. You laugh at the same self-deprecating jokes. You begin to doubt things you once believed, and when you finally notice, you don't believe in anything anymore. The fifth form is automatic routine without reflection. Wake up, work, eat, sleep. Every day the same. No time to think, to plan, to challenge your beliefs. Doubt thrives in autopilot. Hill taught that the mind must be reprogrammed daily with purpose, affirmations, reflection. An inattentive mind becomes a slave to the outside world, and mental slaves don't build empires. Finally, the sixth form is constant comparison. Comparing yourself destroys more dreams than failure itself. Doubt loves it when you look to the side, because while you're watching the neighbor's grass, you forget to water your own. Hill said, envy is a form of ignorance because it ignores everything the other person went through to get where they are. The millionaire mind does not compete. It creates, it moves forward, and it silences the external noise with the firm voice of someone who knows where they're going. Doubt, when left unchecked, becomes a sentence. And many times, that sentence comes with a high price tag: torn contracts, broken deals, and dreams lost forever. Napoleon Hill didn't just theorize about this. He lived alongside men who had the world in their hands and still fell to their knees in the face of an untaken decision, an unfaced fear, a doubt silently nurtured. In his most intimate notes, Hill reveals stories few dare to tell, brilliant men who failed not because of incompetence, but because of hesitation. And here, at this point in the journey, it's essential to dive into some of these accounts to show with blood and sweat what the fatal error can do when it finds shelter in a talented mind. Take the story of Charles Schwab, Carnegie's right-hand man and a genius of industrial production. For years, Schwab was seen as the natural heir to America's great industrial fortune. But at a crucial moment, surrounded by doubtful advisors and fearing a decision that could upset the market, Schwab hesitated. He delayed, postponed, overanalyzed. The result? He lost billion-dollar contracts, watched his empire crumble gradually, and ended his life with significant debts, though still respected as an industrial visionary. Hill recounts cases like this with clarity. Doubt spares no one, not even giants. Another emblematic case comes from Henry Ford himself. At one point in his journey, Ford was harshly criticized for sticking with the Model T while the market demanded innovation. He didn't give in to doubt. He didn't listen to the analysts. He followed his purpose with conviction, and the result was a multi-billion-dollar leap in the market, right when everyone expected him to fail. Hill tells this story to show the contrast. It's not the criticism that destroys you, it's the doubt you accept after it. And what about the man who lost the opportunity of a lifetime because he hesitated for 24 hours? Hill tells the story of a young entrepreneur who was offered a partnership with a group of visionary investors. He asked for a little time to think. While he thought, the investors moved on without him, and that project became one of the largest energy companies on the East Coast. That young man spent the rest of his life saying, "I almost got into that deal." Almost. Doubt's favorite word. The anthem of postponed failure. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill wrote with precision, "Fear is just a state of mind. You can control it. But those who don't learn to master their minds end up mastered by them." Many of those he interviewed admitted in private conversations that their biggest regrets were not the mistakes they made, but the decisions they failed to make, the businesses they never started, the ideas they never pursued, the risks they avoided. A millionaire mind is not one that always gets it right, but one that takes action even in the face of uncertainty. The beauty of Napoleon Hill's ideas lies precisely in their liberating logic. It doesn't matter how far you've fallen, how long you've been nurturing doubt, failure, or mental sabotage. The mind can be rewritten. And this is not blind optimism. It's a system, a methodical process, with steps, principles, and foundations that hold the power to rescue even the most skeptical from the pit of fear. Hill believed with unshakable conviction that any human being, as long as they're willing to pay the price of change, can transform their mind into a machine of achievement. And that process begins with the tripod he considered non-negotiable: faith, burning desire, and definite purpose. When Hill talks about faith, he's not referring to religious dogma, but to the emotional conviction that what you desire is real and inevitable. Faith, according to him, is planted in the mind through the repetition of dominant thoughts. And this is where the most powerful practice of all comes in: auto-suggestion. You must bombard your mind with statements that strengthen your millionaire identity every single day, multiple times a day. It's the opposite of doubt. While doubt is a virus that spreads in silence, auto-suggestion is a remedy activated by repetition. Hill wrote, "Faith is a state of mind which may be induced by auto-suggestion." And that changes everything. Imagine waking up each day and firmly declaring, "I'm a creator of wealth. Everything I need is already within me. My decisions build my destiny. My thoughts shape my future." At first, your mind resists, but over time, it bends. Because the human brain is plastic, it reshapes itself based on what it receives repeatedly. And Hill knew this. He said that the subconscious mind doesn't distinguish truth from lie. It believes whatever you repeat with emotion. So, if you constantly tell yourself you're incapable, the subconscious will believe it. But if you repeat with faith that you are unstoppable, it will believe that too. The second pillar is burning desire, not weak wanting, obsession. The kind of hunger that keeps you up at night, Hill insisted. The starting point of all achievement is burning desire. Most people want to be rich, but they want it weakly, lazily, emotionally detached. To activate the power of desire, Hill advised writing your goal with absolute clarity and reading it out loud twice a day with emotional conviction. By doing this, you program your mind to spot opportunities, make fast decisions, and act with boldness. And the third pillar is definite purpose. Hill discovered that clarity of purpose acts like a mental magnet. People without direction attract distractions. People with purpose attract allies, ideas, resources, and courage. Definite purpose is the strongest antidote to doubt because it gives the mind a north. He taught, decide exactly what you want from life. Know what you're willing to give in return. Set a deadline, make a plan, and repeat it every day. This isn't magic. It's mental engineering applied to reality. So even if you've made the fatal error, even if you've spent decades sabotaging yourself, you can still rewrite your destiny. Faith through auto-suggestion, burning desire fueled by emotional repetition, definite purpose as the engine of daily action. These are the tools, and the mind, as Hill emphasized, is the workshop of the soul. With the right tools, you can rebuild it brick by brick until it becomes unshakable. There is a silent force that separates those who dream alone from those who build empires, a force that Napoleon Hill defined with surgical precision: organized effort. While most people struggle, run, push, and fail in isolation, those who master the millionaire mindset understand that true wealth demands mental organization, direction, and, above all, strategic alliances. Hill called this the power of the mastermind, the union of two or more minds in harmony to achieve a common goal. According to him, this connection creates an invisible intelligence, a third brain, with more creative and intuitive power than any single individual could ever possess. But before understanding this collective power, you must grasp the core concept. Organized effort is the practical application of intelligence, purpose, and coordinated action. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Knowledge is not power. Knowledge becomes power only when it is organized into definite plans of action." This means it's useless to read books, watch videos, or accumulate theories. Without action, it all becomes dead weight. Doubt thrives in excess information without direction, and organized effort emerges as the remedy. It turns scattered ideas into continuous movement, strategic action, and concrete results. Why is the mastermind so powerful in this context? Because doubt is selfish, solitary, silent. It grows stronger when you isolate yourself. But when you connect with other minds that share a common purpose, you create a magnetic field of courage, inspiration, and mutual accountability. Hill observed that all the great millionaires he interviewed had advisors, groups, allies, partners, mentors. They didn't rely solely on their own mental strength. They fortified themselves with collective intelligence, and that made them almost immune to the fatal error. Atul, no mind is complete until it has been stimulated by the influence of other minds in perfect harmony. Hill encourages you to build your own mastermind. Choose 2, 3, or 4 people who share your values, vision, and ambition. People who won't mock bold ideas, people who challenge your mediocrity, people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Meet weekly, make plans, set goals, demand action, share resources, exchange mistakes and strategies. The simple act of speaking your goals out loud in front of committed minds disarms the power of doubt. You stop thinking, "What if it goes wrong?" and start thinking, "How can we make it work?" Organized effort also applies to your individual routine. You can organize your own mind like an army: faith-based thoughts at 6 a.m., strategic planning at 7, execution until noon, learning and growth in the afternoon, visualization at night. The millionaire mind requires mental discipline, a structured sequence of thoughts and actions that function like gears. Without that structure, doubt finds space. With it, doubt has nowhere to grow. The antidote to the fatal error is right here. Clarity plus alliance plus continuous action. Hill gave us the formula. The question is, are you willing to apply it? Are you ready to stop being a solitary mind and become part of an unstoppable collective force? The words you repeat to yourself every day shape your identity more than any external circumstance. Napoleon Hill knew this long before science proved it. Long before neuroplasticity became a common term, he was already teaching that the subconscious is the fertile ground where every success or failure begins to germinate. And that thoughts repeated with emotion become beliefs, beliefs that drive behaviors, decisions, attitudes, and results. Hill didn't just recommend the daily use of affirmations. He considered them the most powerful tool to neutralize the fatal error of doubt and replace it with a conviction that is solid, unshakable, and nearly impenetrable. Affirmations work like direct commands to the mind. They act like soldiers patrolling your thoughts, expelling mental intruders and reinforcing the walls of your confidence. Hill was clear. You become what you think about most of the time. And if you constantly repeat to yourself that you're not good enough, that it's too late, or that it probably won't work, you are, without realizing it, training your mind to fail. But the opposite is also true. By repeating powerful phrases with emotion, clarity, and intent, you build a new mental foundation, a foundation strong enough to support the millionaire mind. Here are some of the most impactful affirmations inspired by Hill's teachings that you can use daily to uninstall the fatal error and activate a new version of yourself. I have a burning desire, and nothing can stop me. My mind is clear, my purpose is definite, my action is constant. Everything I need to succeed is already within me. I act even when I'm afraid, because doubt no longer lives here. I think like a millionaire, I act like a millionaire, and I become what I think. Decision is my power. I don't hesitate, I create. Faith is my anchor. Purpose is my rudder. Success is my destination. Nothing external is stronger than my inner will. Say these affirmations out loud. Write them where you can see them. Record your voice and listen to them every morning. But above all, feel what you're saying. Emotion is the code that unlocks the subconscious. Hill emphasized, emotion is essential for auto-suggestion to work. It's not the phrase itself that changes your life. It's the energy with which you declare it. Make it a habit to affirm your identity every day. Don't wait to feel confident before affirming. Affirm to become confident. The millionaire mind isn't born ready. It's built, one repetition at a time. Each affirmation is a brick, each emotion the cement, and within a few months, you'll have constructed an inner fortress so strong that no doubt will ever break through. Most people don't fail due to a lack of talent, opportunity, or even effort. Most people fail because they don't understand the invisible laws that govern the mind. Napoleon Hill spent decades observing this, and at the end of his journey, he concluded that there are two types of people in the world, those who are driven by their thoughts and those who drive their thoughts. And this distinction is the boundary between wealth and poverty, between freedom and imprisonment, between fulfillment and eternal frustration. If 97% of people fail, it's because they live as mental castaways, adrift, reacting to the winds of circumstance, unable to raise firm sails and navigate with purpose. Hill was categorical when he said, "Most people are ready to quit at the first sign of defeat." That sentence stings because it's true. How many brilliant ideas have you abandoned out of fear? How many times have you settled for less than you deserve because you doubted your worth? Doubt, this fatal error we've exposed since the beginning of this journey, is the common link among the 97%. It paralyzes, confuses, delays, and wears you down, and wears. And when it doesn't kill your dreams, it turns them into ghosts, ideas that haunt you with the painful question, what if I had tried? But Napoleon Hill also revealed the path of the 3%, those who win, build, expand, and leave legacies. And that path is not mystical. It's mental, emotional, and practical. It's worked for 100 years, and it still works today because human nature hasn't changed. The mind is still the workshop of reality. Thoughts are still causes, and realities are still effects. What's changed are the tools, the settings, the markets, but the principles are eternal. These 3% share common patterns: a burning desire that turns into action, a faith that doesn't rely on external validation, a purpose so clear that everything else becomes noise. They make quick decisions and do not give in to doubt. They surround themselves with minds that elevate them. They repeat empowering phrases until those words become identity. They don't compare themselves, don't procrastinate, and don't apologize for thinking big. They understand what Hill understood. You have absolute control over only one thing in your life: your thoughts, and that's enough. Take a moment to reflect. Where have you been placing your attention? On the error or on the purpose? On external voices or your inner voice? On the doubt that paralyzes or the decision that sets you free? What Hill discovered remains available to you, but only if you choose to apply it with discipline. The millionaire mind isn't built in a day, but it is activated in a single choice. And maybe that choice is right in front of you now. Picture yourself 5 years from now, 10, 20. Now imagine that nothing has changed, that your dreams remain tucked away on a shelf of postponed promises. That doubt, that fatal error you've come to know today, remained in charge. That your decisions continued to be made by fear disguised as logic. That you became yet another statistic in the 97%. Now imagine what it would feel like to know you had the key in your hands, that you heard every word, understood every principle, received every tool from Napoleon Hill, and still chose not to act. Chose to keep doubting, chose to keep waiting for the right time, the right money, the right approval. That would be devastating. Because here's the truth. Life collects a debt, and it charges a high price. Time is merciless to those who hesitate. An untrained mind becomes fertile ground for regret, and there is no wealth, no course, no miracle, no person who can live your life for you. Hill wrote, "Success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis." Harsh, direct, true. There's no excuse that can save a dream you didn't live, and there's no one who can pull you out of that place except yourself when you decide to break this mental pattern once and for all. But here is the spark of hope. Your turning point doesn't depend on resources, luck, or circumstance. It depends on one decision, just one. The decision to no longer accept the rules of doubt. The decision to no longer postpone your greatness. The decision to activate, with discipline and intensity, everything you've heard here. Hill left a map, a code, a calling, and it echoes today for you with even greater force. The only real limitation you have is the one you accept as true. So what will you do with this truth now? Will you close it as just another inspiring video that moved your soul for a few minutes? Or will you mark this moment as the point where you decided never again to let doubt rule your life? The choice, as it always has been, is yours. But remember, the millionaire mind doesn't wait. It decides, it acts, it builds, and it wins. If this message hit you deep, share it, not because the video needs views, but because the world needs fewer doubts and more awakened minds.